Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining me for today's April practice. It is a very energetic flow, so be prepared, but I do offer modifications, but we're just really getting into spring, shaking off winter. We have I believe it's a full moon. It is a full moon coming up on the day that this is actually published. So that's always a good time to release anything that no longer serves you, and then also set your intentions for the month ahead. So we're going to kind of do the same thing in this practice. We're going to heat everything up. We're in Aries season. It's also going to be spring, summer. We're going to get those warmer temperatures, at least in the northern area. So I'm looking forward to that. But just letting go of winter and embracing all that spring has to offer with its new growth and opportunities. And I have Sam here to join us. I'm sure Fritz is not too far behind him. So yeah, we'll get started here. If you do want to use any props, I would suggest blocks for sure. Oops, he's crawling on me. You are too big for that. Blocks for sure, like my yoga blocks back there. Also a bolster, blankets, anything like that that you might like to have for the end of class for Shavasana.
Oh.
Yes, you ready to get started, Sam? Let's get started. So today we're actually going to start at the top of our mat standing. We're going to do a little bit of a warm-up. So some of this is going to repeat. This first time through, I'm going to go really slow, break everything down, and then for the next couple times through, we'll move a little bit faster. So we're going to come to stand at the top end of our mat, the short end. If you think you might use blocks, go ahead and grab them. Make sure they're there for you so you don't have to go search for them later. And we're going to start out in our mountain pose. So mountain pose, you're going to really ground your feet into the mat. Sometimes it can help to place or to pick one foot up, place it on the mat, and then really feel your foot on the mat. You can grab the mat with your toes, and you can go back and forth until you really feel that foot to earth connection. So once you feel that, go ahead and bring that to stillness. Your feet do not have to be together. They can be just hips distance apart, but make sure that they are forward, in line with each other, parallel. From here, make sure your tailbone is lengthening down. Now you don't have to tuck it, but make sure it's not sticking out. So just lengthen your tailbone down. Chest is going to be nice and lifted. You can roll your shoulders up, around, and back, really standing up nice and straight and tall. Hands at your sides, head and neck in line with the spine. And then from here, you can just take some breaths. If it feels safe to close your eyes, you can. But imagine you are that strong mountain. Your head is the peak, your feet are the base. Make sure your knees aren't walking out, just a little bend in them. And then when you're ready, we're going to move into volcano. So on the inhale, you're going to reach your arms up. Now your arms can come out to the side or they can come up through center. Doesn't matter. Either way, whatever feels best in your shoulders. So on an inhale, we're going to reach our arms up towards the sky. Make sure you're not wearing your shoulders as earrings. So make sure to pull those shoulder blades down. And your hands may not touch, and that's okay. You can imagine you're holding a big beach ball overhead. And while you're in this pose, make sure that your hip or your ribs aren't splaying out. So keep everything that same nice mountain pose line through the center of your body. And from here, just breathe. You'll feel a nice big stretch through your torso, through your shoulders, through your arms. One more big inhale here. And then on the exhale, we're going to gently float our fingertips down, slight bend in the knee, hinge at the hips, and we're going to lower our hands all the way down to the mat, coming into a forward fold. Now, if your hands do not meet the mat, this is where you can use blocks to bring the ground up to you. Now, my blocks are on the highest setting, but you can go lower. Or if you don't have blocks, you can always bring your fingertips to the mat or onto your shins, whatever feels best to you. On an inhale, we're going to come halfway up, keep a nice flat back. Exhale, lower all the way back down, and then just let your head hang. You can shake it loose, nod yes, you can nod no, and just breathe here for a moment. One more big inhale here. And then exhale, go ahead and slowly start to roll it all the way up and back into your mountain pose. So that was one round. We're going to do that same thing 3 more times, but we're going to speed it up. We're going to get some heat built up here. So we are going to match up the movements with our breath. So we'll stand here for a moment just to prepare. On an inhale, we'll come into volcano. Exhale, we'll float it down to a forward fold, and we'll hold it there for a moment. Actually, we'll inhale, come up to a flat back. Exhale, go back down. You can follow me. You'll get it after this next time. All right, so let's just come into our mountain pose. We'll take a couple breaths just to prepare. Take one more inhale and exhale together. All right, and on our next inhale, let's rise our hands up to volcano. Feeling a nice big stretch. Exhale, forward fold, coming down to the mat. Inhale, come up halfway flat back. Exhale, forward fold, and we'll hold here for just a couple of breaths. On your next exhale, slowly start to roll it all the way up, and we're back in our mountain pose. We'll hold here for just a couple breaths, and then we'll go back through it again. All right, on our next inhale, let's raise our arms up towards the sky, volcano. Exhale, float everything down, forward fold. Inhale, come up halfway flat back. Exhale, forward fold, and we'll take a couple breaths here. One more big inhale here. And on the exhale, slowly roll all the way back up to your mountain pose. This is the last time through for this little ditty. Take a couple moments to breathe here. Your legs should start to feel loose now. Inhale, exhale. And on our next inhale, let's go ahead and come right back into our volcano pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, come up halfway, flat back. Exhale, float it all the way down. And then we'll just hold here for a moment. Now, after your next exhale, make sure your hands are really firmly rooted into the mat. So if they were on blocks, go ahead and bring your hands to the mat. You can bend your knees as generously as you need to get those hands there if they're not already. We'll step one foot back, and then the other, and now we're in a plank pose. Now, if plank is not for you, you can always lower to your knees to come into a half plank. If you're in full plank, make sure your hips aren't dipping down to where you're coming into like an upward dog, and make sure they're not piking up to where it's like you're in a downward facing dog. Nice straight line, really push through the heels, push up away from the mat. Breathe. If you're shaking, that's perfect. One more big inhale here. And then on the exhale, lift your hips up high, push down through the heels, push through the hands, and we'll come into our first downward facing dog. From here, you can walk your dog, just bending one knee and then the other, back and forth. And when you've had enough of that, go ahead and bring it to stillness. Really push down through the heels. If your heels do not come to the floor, that is okay. Mine don't either, so just feel that nice big stretch in the back of the legs. We'll take one more big inhale here, and then on the exhale, look up at your hands. We're gonna make our way back up to the top of the mat into that forward fold. So you can take little baby steps. I'm gonna start taking just little baby steps all the way up. You can take bigger steps if you'd like. If it's in your practice to hop or jump up to the top, you can. But once you get up to the top of the mat, we'll inhale, come up halfway, nice flat back, just like we've been doing. Exhale, forward fold, and we'll just breathe here for a moment. On our next inhale, go ahead and use your core. Rise up in one straight line. We're going to bring our arms up overhead, back into that big volcano pose. And then on the exhale, go ahead and lower your hands back down, coming into mountain. And then we'll just breathe here for a moment. Now from here, inhale, we'll reach your arms up once again. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, come up, nice flat back. Exhale, let it go, and breathe once again. After your next exhale, make sure your hands are once again placed firmly on the mat. We're going to come back into our plank or half plank. So we'll step one foot back and then the other, and then we'll get into our plank position. So whatever that looks like for you. And just breathe here. We're going to hold it for a little bit because we want to build up that strength in our core, in our center. Really light that fire in our belly. One more big inhale here. Exhale, we're going to lower it all the way down to the mat. You can belly flop if you'd like. Untuck your toes. Let your head rest. Take a breath here just to recover. And when you're ready, we're going to take our hands next to our rib cage. And on your next inhale, slowly lower lift your forehead up, just looking straight ahead. So we're coming into a little baby cobra. We haven't really warmed up our back a whole lot just yet, so we're going to come into cobra a little bit later, and we can grow it. If you feel warm, you can come into the full cobra, but for now, we'll just do baby. And breathe here. Keep your elbows in at your sides. One more big inhale here. Exhale, lower your forehead down to the mat. From here, you can push up to all fours. Go ahead and tuck your toes under. Inhale to prepare. And then on the exhale, go ahead and lift your knees off the mat, straighten through the legs, shift your weight back, push through your hands, push down through your heels, back in downward facing dog, and breathe. One more big inhale here. Exhale, let it go. Now from here, make sure your left foot is firmly planted on the mat. On an inhale, you'll lift your right leg up, keep your toes dialed down. I'm going to say hi to Rihanna back here. Exhale, shift forward, bend that knee in towards the chest, shift your weight forward, and then you can step that right foot in between your palms. And then use your core to come up into a nice high lunge. Now your feet should not be on a tightrope. They should be on parallel train tracks. If you need to adjust your stance at all, you can. This front leg should be in a nice 90-degree angle. And if you look down, you should be able to see your big toe. If you cannot, push that knee out towards the outer edge of your mat. From here, your hands can be on your hips. They can be in prayer at heart center, or you can lift your arms up, coming into that full high lunge. And then just breathe here for a moment. If your arms are raised up, make sure you're not wearing your shoulders as earrings. One more big inhale here. And then on the exhale, we're going to pivot on that left foot. Turn your torso towards the long edge of your mat. And you may, again, have to adjust your stance a little bit. But we're going to come into a warrior two. So this front knee should still be bent just like it was in high lunge. Again, your hands can be on the hips. They can be at heart center or they can be stretched out. If they're stretched out, make sure they're not pulling you too far forward or too far back. You want a nice straight line. Imagine you are squeezing a pencil in between your shoulder blades. And then we'll breathe here. One more big inhale here. And exhale. Now from here, straighten through that front leg. Keep your hands where they are if they're stretched out. Shift your hips towards the back end of the mat. And then from here, reach your right arm forward like someone is pulling you. So I'm imagining someone's pulling me over here. And then you can drop that right hand down, left arm up, coming into triangle pose. Now this is going to really work your core. Again, you can use a block here. You can place that under your right hand to bring the floor up to you and to give you some more stability. And again, you can do different levels with the block. You can always bring your hand to your shin here, or your hand can be on the outside of the shin, or you can bring your fingertips down to the mat. Wherever you're at, make sure that your chest is spiraling up towards the ceiling. And then your head can be looking down, or it can be looking up towards that hand. And then you'll just breathe here. Keep a little slight bend in your right leg that's straight. This is really challenging for the core. One more breath here. And then exhale, we're going to lower this left arm down, pivot on that left foot, bend back, or actually don't bend that right knee yet. Just pivot on that back foot. You step it in about halfway. Keep that right foot straight, and we're coming into pyramid pose. So you can see my front leg is straight here. My back leg is shorter. It's not as wide of a stance. And then you can put your hands on the mat and let your head just, if you don't have a dog here, you can do it. You can also bring blocks here to help bring the ground up to you to get into this posture a little bit easier. Get rid of those. And just breathe. With your next exhale, go ahead and look forward. Step that left foot back a little bit more. Pivot back so you're just up on your toes, and then we'll rise up once again, coming back into that high lunge once again on this side. So we're right back where we started. Again, if you need to adjust your footing, you can do that. Make sure that you're still breathing here. One more big inhale here. And then we'll once again pivot on that left foot, coming back into our warrior two, and breathe. One more big inhale here. And then exhale, straighten through that right foot. Turn your toes forward. You can lower your hands down if you'd like. We'll turn our left toes towards the left short edge of the mat. We'll pivot on our right foot. Again, adjust your stance as needed. We're going to come into a high lunge on this side. So again, make sure your left foot or your left knee is at a nice 90-degree angle. You should be able to see your big toe. Make sure you're not on a tight rope. And then again, hands can be on your hips, center at the heart, or you can lift them up towards the sky into a nice high lunge, and breathe. One more breath here. And then on the exhale, we'll pivot on the right foot, coming into a warrior two on the other side. And breathe. One more breath here. And on the exhale, we'll straighten through the left leg. We'll shift our hips to the right. Imagine someone's pulling your left hand over, and then we'll drop that left hand down, bring the right hand up, turn the chest towards the ceiling, coming into triangle pose, and breathe. One more breath here. On the exhale, we'll lower our right hand to the ground. Go ahead and turn your hips towards that left foot. Step your right foot in just a little bit. You're going to pull that left hip crease back, right hip crease forward. Bow your head to that left shin. Coming into pyramid pose, and just breathe here for a moment. One more inhale here. On the exhale, go ahead and bend through that left knee. Kick your right foot back, pivot on it. On an inhale, we're going to use our core to rise back up into that high lunge position, and just breathe here for a moment. One more breath here. Exhale, pivot on that right foot. We're back to warrior two once again on this left side. This is the last time on this side. Breathe. One more breath here. And then exhale, you can lower your hands down, pivot on that left foot. We'll turn our right toes back towards the front edge of our mat. Pivot all the way over on the left foot. We'll do one more high lunge on this side. Reach your arms up. Exhale, go ahead and lower your hands down to the mat. Place them firmly on the mat. We'll step our right foot back to meet our left, back into plank, or you can go into half plank. Breathe. One more breath here. And on the exhale, lift your hips up, shift your weight back, push through the heels. Downward facing dog. Take a breath. Just kind of cooling it down a little bit. One more inhale here. And on the exhale, look forward, look at the top of your mat. We're going to make our way back up towards the top. So again, you can take big steps, you can take little steps, you can hop, jump, float, however you'd like to get there. Once you're at the top of the mat, inhale, come up halfway, flat back. Exhale, let it go, forward fold, and breathe. After your next exhale, bend your knees super generously, bring your torso to the top of your thighs, start to really bend, 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 lower your booty down towards the mat, and then we'll raise our torso up, and we're coming into a nice little chair pose. So really sit back through the heels, and your hands again can be at your waist, they can be at prayer, or you can reach them at like a 45-degree angle out in front of you, up by your ears. But don't wear your shoulder blades as ears again, or your shoulders as ears. Breathe here. One more big inhale here. Exhale, go ahead and bring your hands to the mat, straighten through the legs, forward fold. Inhale, come up halfway, flat back. Exhale, let it go. And then just breathe. On your next inhale, go ahead and rise up, bring your hands up overhead, coming into that volcano pose for just a breath. Exhale, go ahead and lower your hands down, coming into mountain for just a moment. We'll give ourselves a little break off our hands, off our legs. You can shake anything out, get any wiggles out, fix your hair, fix your clothes. And then when you're ready, bring it to stillness and we'll just breathe for a moment. You can even close down the eyes. Feel that rush of energy through you, that heat that we built up. One more breath here. Exhale, let it go. All right, on our next inhale, let's reach our arms back up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Go ahead and come all the way down to the mat. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, let it go. And breathe. When you're ready, we're going to go into our last plank of today, so make it the best one. Step one foot back, then the other, coming into that plank pose. Or again, you can always drop down to your knees. Really breathe here. We're going to hold it for a little bit just because it's our last one. Really push that floor away from you. And if you feel like you need to drop down the knees, you can, that's fine. One more breath here. Exhale, we'll lower all the way down to the mat. You can untuck the toes. We're gonna come up into Cobra, so make sure your hands are by your rib cage. Inhale, we'll peel our forehead up off the mat looking forward. Coming into Baby Cobra. If you'd like to grow it a little more, push through the hands, really rise up. Make sure you're not wearing your shoulders as earrings, so they should still be back. If you feel any crunchiness in the lower back, lower your Cobra down, and then just breathe. One more breath here. Exhale, lower it all the way down. Now from here, you can either go through all fours. We're gonna move into downward facing dog, so you can go back through all fours like we did earlier, or I'm gonna show you another variation where we can come through plank. So if you haven't had enough planks, you can come with me. Otherwise, I will meet you in downward facing dog. So we'll go ahead and tuck our toes under. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, power through your arms, power through your core, rise up, plank. Inhale once again, and then exhale, lift your hips up, shift your weight back, downward facing dog, and breathe. One more big inhale here. And then exhale, slowly lower your knees to the mat. Bring your knees as wide as the mat, big toes to touch. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, sink your hips back. You can walk your fingertips forward and melt your head to the mat. If your head doesn't quite make it to the mat, you can always grab a block and rest your head on the block. Or if you have a pillow or a bolster or blankets nearby, you can grab those too. Otherwise, just rest, really feel all of that work that we just did through the body. Give your arms a rest. One more big inhale here. Exhale, let it go. When you're ready, you can look up, start to make your way back up. You can just walk your hands in, and then go ahead and bring your legs to one side and swing them all on around. So we're gonna start to transition. I have one last just heating, challenging pose for you. Just one more. It's really gonna fire up our core. If you're not feeling it engaged yet, you will, but I'm gonna give you different levels. So really honor yourself and your body and where you're at, and only go to where your appropriate edge is. Don't try and push yourself to do necessarily what I'm doing if it doesn't feel right in your body. Okay. We are going to do boat pose. So boat pose is, I like it. It's a great core engager. And like I said, there's different levels. So to start, go ahead and just put your feet on the mat. They should be on the mat, knees bent. And then from here, you can just grab behind your thighs and just make sure you're sitting up nice and tall. So your back should be lengthened, your chest nice and lifted here. And then you can always just lean back a little bit. So this is option one. You can just stay here. If you'd like to lean back a little more, you can just grab behind your thighs here and lean back too. Maybe you want to play with lifting one foot and then the other. Maybe you want to try lifting both feet. Keep your knees bent towards the floor to start. From here, you can let go of one leg. Maybe try and let go of the other. And if you'd like to go full-blown boat, you can straighten through the legs. Make sure your chest and your back is all still lifted and straight. Breathe here. You're going to feel a shake. One more breath, just one more. Exhale, let it all go. All right, from here, we're gonna lie down on our backs. We're gonna come into our final resting posture, Shavasana. So we're just gonna let everything go. Now, some people like to practice with pillows or a bolster. If you do, you can use a bolster just underneath your thighs here. If you don't have a bolster, you could use a pillow. You can also use blankets, just whatever you have around your house. So it doesn't have to be exactly that. If you have a blanket and it's cold, you might want to cover up. If you have an eye pillow, that can be nice to block out the light. So just whatever you have around you, you can use. I'm going to use this today. And then just roll onto your back. Make sure you're really taking up space on your mat, even maybe spilling off the mat. And just let it go. You can close down the eyes if that feels good to you. And then we'll just take a few moments here to breathe, letting the benefits of our practice just marinate through our bodies, giving ourselves gratitude for taking the time to do this work. Today's class was not the easiest one I've ever done. I wouldn't say it's the hardest, but it's definitely not the easiest. Kind of switch things up a little bit. So give yourself props for that. I'm going to go quiet for a moment so you can rest in Shavasana, but I will be back here shortly to bring you out of this pose. The card that I pulled for today's practice is Giraffe Spirit, and its message is to see the big picture. Giraffes stretch upwards to reach the treetops and look down from a high vantage point. When Giraffe Spirit appears, it is a sign to observe from a higher view. In all aspects of your life, it's time to stretch your neck out and broaden your view. Open your eyes to what others need or are experiencing, and see the big picture that you fit into. No matter how great your wisdom, knowledge, or experience, you don't want to overlook details and connections that will help you better understand yourself and your circumstances. So stretch yourself. Look beyond what catches your attention at eye level and know that not everything is as obvious as you might like it to be. Spirit will bestow upon you a new perspective that might make all the difference. If you would like to stay in Shavasana, then go ahead and stay as long as time allows. If you are ready to get going with your day, then go ahead and slowly start to deepen your breath. Begin to wiggle your fingers and toes. And when you're ready, go ahead and place your feet firmly on the mat. Keep your knees bent. And then roll to your favorite side, coming into a little fetal position, and we'll just take a few breaths here. When you're ready, slowly come up to a comfortable seat, bringing your head and neck up last. If your eyes are still closed, you can open them up to the room around you. Hopefully you feel super energized and excited for this new season. If you need a longer cool down, you can go back into Shavasana at any time. Or you should be ready to get on with the rest of your day or evening whenever you're practicing this. I will be back next week with a brand new video. That will be on my Patreon account though. So if you're new, I do a practice on YouTube once a month at the very beginning. So that's, if you're seeing this, this is what you're seeing. And then for each week after that, I post those practices on Patreon. Patreon is my on-demand platform. So you have access on there to all of the videos, so even past ones that are not here on YouTube. So if you are interested in that at all, the link is in my bio. It is $15 a month. However, there is a free trial for 7 days. So if you like this video, if you want to check out more, you can go there. Like I said, there's no charge for the first week. After that, it's $15 a month. There's no contracts. You can cancel anytime. If you like this video, if you like this practice, please hit the like button. You can also subscribe to my channel and you'll get notified anytime a new monthly practice comes out. If you know anyone that would like these practices or would benefit from it, please share my channel with them. I do everything through word of mouth. I don't have any advertising dollars or anything like that. So I appreciate any help I can get to get the word out so more people can benefit from this practice. So again, thank you so much for joining me for today's practice. I appreciate your time and your energy and that you share your practice with me. I will see you next week on Patreon. Otherwise, I will see you next month here. Have a great week or month. Namaste.